Hey everybody, welcome! Can you hear me? Somebody give me a shout if they can hear me. Wow! Iron 100, 150 credits. Thank you, buddy. You guys are fantastic. You see me. Hi, Zoe. Can you hear me? Just need to hear. Hey, Club. Woot. Thank you, everybody. Just quickly, I've got all your questions. I've been going through it, and I'm glad you can hear me. So welcome. It is a nice shirt. Just slow down, everybody. Slow down, Big Papa. And, oh, I'm sorry, it does not, I'm sorry, guys, the sound's not great, but we will get better at this. I'm here to answer as many questions as we can and to talk about trends. Let's first talk about CNBC. You may have seen, well, just played a quick 9 with Max, winding down from a Fast Money episode. And Fast Money has oh, and I got a little stain on my shirt. Fast Money has a habit of preparing me for one thing and then asking completely different questions when I go on TV. So today, it's always fun. John Malloy, just some behind the scenes stuff. John Malloy is a super fantastic, smart producer at Fast Money who really gets TV, and they're really good to me there. And so Icon was on a couple days ago talking about his Apple purchase, and this is what we've been talking about on Stock Tips for 5-6 years, which is the inevitability that people want to talk about this stuff. We've got Google Hangouts, we have products like Laffster. Laffster I'm an investor in, full disclosure, and they've done a beautiful job developing this product, but people just want to learn, and there's never been a better opportunity to get mentored. You know, like I said, with platforms like this. So I go on CNBC, everything moves very quickly. You don't ever really get a chance to talk in deep about these subjects. But what's happening with social, with respect to investing, is revolutionary. What makes it revolutionary is guys like Icon. You know, it used to be an agent would have to call, book the show, and Carl would study up, pick his 1 or 2 favorite ideas, and not enough people could see that show. I mean, there's just not enough way to reach enough people to tune into that show. Now, Carl can set the stage himself and really use CNBC, use Twitter or Stock Tips or whatever. He's using Twitter right now, but really use CNBC as a leverage tool for a one-to-many platform on Twitter. And so he is just one in a myriad of a chain of events that are going to really open up the market. And it levels the playing field. You know, some days we think we're competing with Twitter, some days we think we're competing with CNBC, and days like yesterday and today just really help us, you know, get comfortable with who we are and the fact that CNBC really, for the first time, has a ton of competition from the likes of Twitter and the likes of StockTwits, because there's just multiple hundreds of channels for people to tune into. Yeah, Jordan, as full disclosure, I'm a big fan of Daniel at Laffster, and you know they've pivoted and really thoughtfully tried to figure out how to help people, especially in the comedic space, you know, build their brand and monetize their brand. I'm not a professional comedian or anything, but trying to help out, use the platform. And I think there's a ton of applications for how Laffster is thinking through the UI, etc., and can be used for finance. And I appreciate the tips, everybody. I'm seeing a lot of tips come in. They're great prizes, and it's for a friend of mine's charity in Toronto. Jen and Rob Siegel are my best friends. They have a son with autism, and he goes to a summer camp now, and he has a wonderful summer uh, with other children with autism. It's in Northern Ontario, so I think it's a phenomenal charity, and so I appreciate all the tips. That's where all the money is going to, and then we have 3 great prizes. We want to talk about Bitcoin. We'll start with Bitcoin because this is a revolution that's at hand. What happened in 2008 is playing out every day in different formats. This breakdown of trust with institutions. You know, for years and years and years in the 80s and 90s, through the bull market and bear market, institutions, mutual funds were where you were supposed to put your money. And we saw what happened both in 98, 99, which was more with the, in the, yeah, screw the Winklevosters. You guys are having more fun than me. What we saw in 98, 99 was Wall Street printing securities to feed the frenzy that was built up by CNBC, and all of us were guilty with chasing stocks in the internet bubble. 2008 was more about the banks leveraging, creating products of self-destruction, of nuclear destruction. And so this trust breakdown happened in 2008. And combined with the technology trend, peer-to-peer, the internet, mobile web, the cloud, increased security products. And so it allowed a product or an idea like Bitcoin to take hold. And it's still a very nascent industry and technology, but Bitcoin is here to stay, and here's why I'm going to tell you. And I've written about this before. It's not, Warren Buffett doesn't even understand it or care about it. So it's not so late that Warren Buffett cares about it. And it's not so early where Mark Andreessen, Fred Wilson, and some of the greatest investors of all time are willing to put their money in. So we're somewhere, it's not the earliest of early, but it's early, and it's not so late that Warren Buffett doesn't know. So it's really, if you're thinking about Bitcoin, you're in an interesting spot. My advice is to read up on it as much as possible. Is you can go to a site like Mt. Gox. You can search it in your Google, you can search it on Google. But Mt. Gox has a really great website for offering charts, the prices of Bitcoin, and you can see that there's this little a world that's developed around this commerce platform. And so it's not going away. There's tons of money flowing into making sure that the infrastructure and the trust and this ecosystem gets built. There's a lot of risk, but at the same time, and I don't know how personally to make money off it because I'm not buying Bitcoins as a speculative toy, although I have in the past. But really, the fact that the government hasn't been able to shake this apart, and they are trying, and the fact, you know, yesterday a lot of investors were subpoenaed to talk about Bitcoins, and yet Bitcoin today closed at $112. Lends me to believe that whether I'm a buyer or seller of Bitcoin, I'm not sure. But the fact is, if this was a fad, Bitcoins would be trading right now at $30 or $40. So again, we're somewhere at the beginning. There's a lot of volatility. I don't expect it to be a smooth ride, but there's something going on with Bitcoins. In 20 years, your stockbroker or money manager may be asking you to put 2 to 3% of your money into Bitcoins. So that's where I think it's going. I don't think it takes over. I just think it becomes something like gold in the sense that people will be trading these as a hedge, as a way to travel and spend money. And so I'm semi-bullish. I don't necessarily know how to play it, but if you read Fred Wilson's blog, another site that I like to read is TechMeme, TechMeme. It's Brian, very funny. His newsletter, yeah. You should tip just for saying that comment. But Tech Meme is a great place to keep up with the pulse of what nerds are saying. I've talked about Tech Meme for 5 years. People want to know what I read. I read as little as possible. I spend 3 to 4 hours a day on StockTwits. And in the morning I wake up, I read Brad Feld, I read Fred Wilson. I check in 4 to 5 times a day on Tech Meme. Because on Tech Meme, it still works for me. I get to hear what bloggers that care about tech all day, all night. So the same people that love stocks spend their day, tech people spend their day writing about tech products. And Tech Meme is a fantastic way to really get a pulse of what tech bloggers are thinking about. Why I like it for stocks is they're not thinking about the stock prices. The people writing for Tech Meme are being aggregated on Tech Meme. They're writing because they love or hate these products and the people. And so I get a great feel for the companies and the products without having to hear them talk about the stock prices. And I think that's a really important context for somebody that's interested in technological trends and trading and investing in tech stocks, is to understand what the people who just care about the products and may never ever buy a stock really think about the management, the teams, the product pipeline, etc., customer service, etc. So I really think Tech Meme is an incredible spot to spend 4 or 5 times just kind of checking the stream. Again, I'm very tech-centric. I don't invest in oil. I don't invest in gold. I invest in companies with cash flow and products. So my style isn't good for everybody, and there's a million ways to invest. If you have questions about tipping, Laffster's here and listening in, so just chime away. And I'm sorry for those that have lost the stream. So hopefully, with Bitcoin advice, Jordan Metzner, with Bitcoin advice, I would follow Mt. Gox. I would follow the progress of Coinbase, which is a Union Square investment. And OpenCoin is an investment. I don't really quite get it, but it's very interesting. It's an investment by Mark Andreessen. And so you're talking about 2 of the best investors. I think I wrote about it the other day where the Winklevoss twins have brought a little too much attention, too much fancy pant attention to this stream. I don't think they understand how dangerous they are sometimes. I think they think they're smarter than they are, and they've brought a lot of attention by trying to corner the market in Bitcoin. Kudos to them for making a few bucks, but I don't think they really have a respect for what Bitcoin really is. The way Mark Andreessen or Fred Wilson really has spent 10 years thinking through these type of issues. So I think part of the problem with Bitcoin are people like the Winklevosses. But I think the government is not going to find much here to stop or shut down Bitcoins. I think the criminals, like I've been writing about, have moved on. They're not smart. They're not dumb enough, or the good criminals are not dumb enough to hide out in Bitcoins anymore. So I think we're in this weird, interesting phase. Stochastic, you want to talk about Twitter, using Twitter to drive stocks. It can happen. It will happen. Rappers have been doing that over the last few years. If I'm Jay-Z, if I'm Justin Bieber, and I need a quick $100,000, and I'm willing to risk my reputation and the potential fact that the SEC may look into it, he could cut a deal with an energy drink that may be on the bulletin board or a certain product and pimp it, and Justin Bieber can move a stock, just probably more than Carl Icahn can move a stock. Justin Bieber may not be able to move Apple, but Justin Bieber could move a 10-cent to 20-cent stock. Carl Icahn's very different. He truly is taking reputation risk when he goes to Twitter and says that he's talked to Tim Cook and bought Apple. Yes, he can move the stock, but Apple can also be down 10 to 15% based on market risks the next day, and Carl looks like an idiot. So the reason I'm okay with Carl Icahn doing this is, first of all, as an investor in these stocks, I have to be prepared for this if I'm on the other side, or whether it worked. This one worked out good for people long. And whereas I can't prepare for a Justin Bieber pushing a marijuana stock or a clothing stock or some 10-cent stock. So I'm more worried about that. And those are some of the things that we built into StockTwits. We don't care about 10-cent stocks. We don't care if Justin Bieber ever uses StockTwits. It'd be fun if you love stocks and you wanted to talk about stocks on StockTwits, great. So those are the differences between Twitter and StockTwits. Twitter is no different than email. Email is used if the intent is to screw investors and create scams, that can be done through email and SMS on their own. So that's, I'm pretty consistent with my thoughts there on Twitter. Jordan, you want to know about Amazon at its current price? I wish I owned it. What makes it hard for me to own Amazon at $300 is it could be worth $100 or it could be worth $1,000. I've lost all context for what their financials mean. We know it's one of the greatest brands, top 5 brands in the world, or at least in North America. Again, I don't think they've dominated certain parts of the world. So let's call it one of the top 4 or 5 brands in North America. There's the rest of the world to grow into. They could buy Mercado Libre. They can go into many countries over the next 20, 30 years. But at the same time, there's all kinds of risk, and not from someone taking them over, but if you look at the world like a giant game of Risk, and I encourage everybody to play this game if they're thinking about investing. Brian, that's mean. I just got a haircut, but I just played 9 holes of golf and I got a little frizz going. But you can tip for the haircut. With Amazon, what worries me about Amazon is I truly don't have some context for what I own. I know it's one of the great brands. I know there's growth ahead of them. But I also know that there's thousands of e-commerce companies, thousands right now. I spend my time looking at business plans and I don't understand most of them, but whether it's Dollar Shave Club or the Dollar Tampon Club, or Warby Parker with eyeglasses, or Fitbit, or 3D printers, at many levels from an individual product by product basis, people are attacking Amazon on a product by product basis. So, you go from the corner store to the Walmart and then you go back to the corner store. I feel with Amazon that I can't really understand their profit model. I know there's profits there if they wanted to squeeze them out. And I know Wall Street's been wrong about this being short, but I just think there's better contextually understandable plays for me with catalysts for growth that I can put my head around. So I don't own it anymore. Mr. Schaefer wants to know if they should buy equity in Laffster. So many companies have tried to do what Laffster is doing. I think that they built a beautiful UI. I'm biased. This is incredible. It's working. Ustream's obviously working well. I think this whole idea, Google Hangouts is supremely interesting, but it is a little confusing, and the tech still isn't quite there around having 10 people talking to each other. I think video is just one of the hardest things. I'm very bullish on video. I've invested in 10 or 12 video companies. I like the original Laffster product, which was just lean back and watch comedy shows and thumb up them and thumb down. So I'm still very bullish. I don't know why Laffster kind of switched away from their original product, but where they're going with this has worked for other companies. A company that we invested in a couple of years ago called, oh God, now I'm going to be embarrassed. But they were bought by Yahoo this year. So, but they struggled with this kind of formula that Daniel and his team has built at Laffster. What's interesting about the way Laffster is done, besides the UI, is talented people are looking for ways to monetize on a one basis, and webinars have been very popular format. So I think if we can get the celebs to sit down and really spend time doing this, and I think the whole idea of being able to add images, this tipper idea is super interesting. It's a very elegant chat integration. So I'm bullish. I'm bullish on Daniel. He's hustling. Things go wrong at an early stage, but yeah, I just don't know if you should invest. I don't know anything about you, Mr. Schaefer or Mrs. Schaefer, and if you invest in startups. So this is for highly accredited risk-taking investors because things go wrong. But kudos to Laffster so far on this product. Next question, TJ Taylor, to what extent and in what way do you see social media impacting investing? Well, we're in the middle of it, TJ. We were early. I talked about it last night. StockTwits was probably about 5 years ahead of the curve. And when I saw Twitter the very first time, I was blown away. And I was blown away because when the BlackBerry came out, the brokers really adopted the pinning action of BlackBerry, the one-to-one. Because when you go to if you work at Merrill Lynch or if you work at Schwab or if you work at any brokerage, they read everything. Everything is done on a server of the brokerage. And so when BlackBerry came out, people were going around the servers or the bank servers and going one-to-one. Okay? Twitter comes along and it's basically the same as BlackBerry, except it's one-to-many and it's public. So people thought, people won't talk about stocks on Twitter. I took the other approach and said, people are going to love talking about stocks on Twitter. Everybody likes to talk of their book, whether you're an investor or your parent talking about your kids. Everybody likes talking about themselves. And therefore, everybody likes talking about the stocks or the products that they own. So that was my thesis for writing about it in 07, 08. And then Soren Macbeth anteed up and said, I'm going to build that and let's do that. So that's how it started. And so I think the beginning of social finance started in 97, 98 with Jim Cramer. We're now 15 years later. Can you imagine how long it's taken just to get Wall Street to even acknowledge that this may possibly be something that's interesting? So that's all we've gotten to. So if you believe in this, this trend is starting to gain momentum. Why is it gaining momentum? Because everybody has one of these in their hand. And this is a mood ring. This is, you walk into a store, you buy something, you share it. We're talking about commerce. We're talking about, every CEO, whether you're Warren Buffett or a hedge fund manager or the CEO of Netflix, they got this in their hand all the time. If you're the CEO of Netflix or Elon Musk at Tesla, and you get a text that you just received an order for 5,000 cars, okay? You may not be able to legally text that, but you're going to be happy, you're going to be in a good mood. You just want to share. Okay, so Elon, he's not thinking about fooling people. He's just in a good mood that day. So I think it's inevitable that this happens. You're going to be able to, those who can understand moods and read tea leaves, social media is an incredible tool. It's replacing what I would call volume. Now that people can trade stocks 24/7 and there's ETFs and derivatives, volume and price used to be the most important thing. This is something that's very important. Price and volume used to be price and volume were the two most important things for a small investor or an institutional investor. Besides the fundamentals of the company, what the price and volume were doing mattered. Volume has really kind of disappeared as an indicator. I see people focused on it and I think they're confused, and the idea of volume has changed so much with derivatives and options and ETFs and global pools, dark pool trading. So really what's replaced it is smart people who really are connected. Okay, it's not how many people bought, it's who bought. Okay, with Wall Street, my first show, it wasn't that we were getting 100,000 views an episode. It was that the 10,000 views we got were executives of media companies. Okay, and I'd always rather be watched by 100 highly influential, intelligent people than 10,000 people who can't help me. And so remember that when you're thinking about stocks, okay? It's not being in chat rooms that matter. It's being in the right rooms with the right people who are sincere and are open with how they're thinking about ideas. Okay, so hopefully that, TJ, that answers your question. Tip a little money, it's all for a good cause. Okay, how do you filter for stocks? This is a big one. Jim Bro, how do you filter for stocks that you want to invest in? I urge everybody to spend, the paper that inspired me to get going was a newspaper called Investors Business Daily, which is really an incredible newspaper still. Their website I don't use, but the amount of data that company has, they're an LA company, run by religious fanatic right-wingers. But, you know, putting their politics aside, just the data that this company produces is amazing. So Investors Business Daily, I grew up as an investor using that paper. It made sense to me. Everything that I read there made sense. They talked about terms like relative strength. They talked about terms like accumulation, institutional ownership. They talked about things like price and volume. Where I think an opening has happened, and this is where StockTwits and social networks step in. I think IBD is one of the strongest places to get an understanding of how stocks work and how strength works. But because volume has changed so much, and because of ETFs and the makeup of institutions has changed so much, Al, it's really loud. Because the volume indices have changed so much that I believe this mood and social matters so much, and nobody really has a grasp on that yet. So we're really in the early days of this, and I think StockTwits and all the people hanging out on StockTwits are really out there on the bleeding edge, wondering more about not how much, but who. And so IBD is where I started. So I don't spend any time there anymore, but I do respect their work. Ivan and I created a strength list called the StockTwits 50, stocktwits50.com. That's pretty much how I filter. I look at stocks at their 3 and 5 year highs. Okay, that's all I focus on. And that tells me everything I need to know about the market. You can do all that at the stocktwits50.com. It's a paid site now. But there's hundreds of sites across the web that can print you, or barcharts.com, where you can get the stocks making all-time highs. And by spending 6 months studying that list once a day, spending 10 minutes a day, which companies are doing well, that's all that matters. I don't care which companies are doing poorly. I don't care about airlines. I don't care about oil stocks. I don't care about coal and copper. I care about which companies are doing well. And when that list is full of a lot of names, I know that the market's healthy. If there's no names on that list, come back tomorrow. But you want to see months and months of strength, and then you start getting a comfort, and then you start seeing the names that matter. So that's a really important thing, is how you filter. And for me, the easiest way, 10 minutes a day, what stocks are doing well, get used to the names, get used to the industries that they're in, and that will help you. Okay, I know I got a ton of questions. We're about halfway in. Liz, you're looking for 401k asset allocation advice, or best stocks to pin retirement on with roughly 20 years to go. So Liz, I assume you're in your 40s. I like your logo. I thought it was a Lulu logo, but it isn't. You know who I really like here, Liz, is Barry, my friend Josh Brown. You can reach out to him, Reform Broker, or I can introduce you to him. They're all about asset allocation. They're not about stock picking. I really trust Josh and Barry. Barry's as much as Barry is a media person, they're very thoughtful around asset allocation. I myself all my money is pretty aggressive, so I don't like giving advice on asset allocation. But Liz, I will introduce you on the stream to Josh Brown, and they are the guys that I would go to about really thoughtful asset allocation strategies. It's not something that I can answer on a one-to-many platform. So remember to hit me up on StockTwits for that. Do I read any daily, weekly investment publication? Yeah, I do. I read, I don't read Barron's, I don't watch CNBC, I don't read the Wall Street Journal. Let's talk about what I don't read. Go back to it. I read Fred, I skim Fred or Brad to see if there's something interesting, a bunch of other VCs, but mainly it's TechMe, and I do that daily. That gives me a feel for technology. And if you have a feel for technology, you're going to have a feel for most industries, because technology is shaping everything. And that's where the leaders are. That's where the money's flowing, and that's where the leaders are. The other area is media. And, the trade publications are the best, whether it's Ad Age, but I don't know so much about media. But media and tech are where I focus. And so I watch a lot of the media stocks. StockTwits 50, again, we write it, we create it, Jim Bro. So I honestly live and breathe my product. I'm trying to replace as much reading as possible. And so in an honest answer, you know, I really recommend our product. And so if you tip a lot here, there's a great 3-month subscription to the product. So I really highly recommend that, Jim. And you can hit me up on the stream or on email anytime. What are the books that I recommend for entrepreneurs? Good question. I don't read books. I've never read a book that inspired me to be an entrepreneur, Mr. Schaefer. So I think you should read entrepreneurial blogs. I think there's so many young CEOs writing, and if they can't inspire you on a day-to-day basis, then I'm not sure. What are the good places to find young entrepreneurial bloggers, though? I'll have to try and put together a list of that. But I don't have any one book that I recommend. I know that Lean Startup is a religious book for so many. And I really like the thinking of Seth Godin. I don't know, Mr. Schaefer, if you've read Seth Godin's blog, Godin, but I think he writes a very light, fun, outside the box thinking type of way to think about ideas and how to get started. Because I think the most important thing about being an entrepreneur is just getting started. Because you're going to hear, no, 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 this is a bad idea, this is a bad idea. All ideas are bad. But it's the execution and the relentless pursuit, passionate pursuit of stuff that matters. So hopefully Seth can get you going in the right direction. And again, I think by spending time on TechMeme, you're going to run across hundreds of entrepreneurs that are writing, and that should hopefully get you inspired. Liz, how different is StockTwits 50 now from the old free version? The main difference, Liz, is that we're taking responsibility and created a model portfolio that we're actually running as if it was a real portfolio. So we're giving real-time ideas, long-term trend-following ideas, and we're managing for you in real time. And we're obviously sending out our weekly and daily updates of the portfolio and trade ideas. So it's just a little more information. But you know, if you don't want too much information, it still works in the old ways. So hopefully that answers your question, Liz, and you can hit me up on the stream. I'm just looking for some more questions. Okay, I'm going back to live chat. Current price for good haircut. UNXL. No thoughts on UNXL, but let me just take a look here on StockTwits. Hang on. Everybody. UNXL. Unipixel. Wow, what a run it had and what a crash it had. So I don't know much about the company. Take a look at it on the stream tomorrow. But I don't have an opinion on that. Thanks, Ned. Yes, we have put a ton of work in the StockTwits 50. Ivan spends 24 hours a day now just doing that. He's not an employee of StockTwits. We talk, I don't know, 20 times a day. We're writing, we're thinking about our ideas, we're trying to understand the catalyst. It's a full-time job. Steve Carroll, I just saw him in another movie. He looked Blue Jasmine, I think. He was great. I wish I was Steve Carroll. But yeah, big fan of Steve Carroll. Next thing, best advice for starting to grow a small role into something bigger. StockTwits 50 portfolio is the perfect place to start. You're not going to be overwhelmed with ideas. You're going to own things that we own. We're pretty much just online all day, so it's easy to catch up with us and ask us questions. I recommend anybody, if it's not me, you know, there's great guys, Harmon Gregg, if you like trading, Upside Trader, Todd Sullivan. There's great guys that we've partnered with for 4 or 5 years, Brian Shannon, who are really great at what they do. Stephen Place around options. But if you really want to build a bankroll, you really should understand big trends and find the companies that are going to benefit from big trends and spend the rest of your time investing in yourself, not trading stocks, but learning a trade. If you want to learn to trade, that's a lifetime skill, so the best time to start is now. But if you really want to build a bankroll, you want to find the Nikes and Under Armours that we do at Starbucks and hang on to them dearly, okay? And they're happening all the time. So yes, invest the money. If you're a student, hit me up and we'll give you a discount. But the best thing you can do is start with the StockTwits 50 and ease in. Treat the market with respect, but start with real money, whether it's $500 or $1,000, and get that feeling. Understand how your mind reacts to owning pieces of stocks. What would you do in my shoes? 20 looking to invest 100K. Same thing. Build a model portfolio with us at StockTwits 50. Sign up, spend a year with Ivan and I, get the right mentoring, and then follow the top stocks in the market, and you will make money. Okay, guaranteed it. Liz, you can get 3 months. Yeah, if you tip enough, you can get 3 months of StockTwits 50. Yes, treat the market with respect. This is not same way you go into the Dead Sea in Israel. If you go into the Dead Sea in Israel with a cut, okay, that you didn't know you had, it will burn like hell. The market does that to you too. If you have a weakness in your emotions, in your psyche, as soon as you put money to work, the market will do to you what the Dead Sea does to a cut. It will expose you. So right now it feels great in the market. Everybody's making money. These things don't last forever. And so really you have to understand how you're going to behave when you're losing money. Interactive, so that's what I mean about treat the market with respect. Yes, costs are very important. The reason I don't use interactive brokers, I use Schwab and Fidelity. The reason I use Schwab is there is cheap to a point, okay? You can drive your commissions down to zero, but I want to talk to a person. I want to yell at somebody when I'm having a bad day. I want to yell at somebody if something goes wrong. I want someone to pick up on my first ring. So I think service is more important than cost at many levels. And so I use Schwab. Interactive brokers just never worked for me because I just always was nervous about being able to reach somebody if I did something wrong. And hey, Jason. Thank you, Jason, about Wall Strip Edge, which really was a good trend following book. The title sucked. If we had called that book The Twitter Trend, as I wanted to call it in letters to the editor, it'd be a bestseller still. But the editors wanted to call it the Wall Strip Edge because we had just sold Wall Strip to CBS. So in 2008, when we sold Wall Strip to CBS, I got called, Howard, you need to do a book. I said, sure. They paid me $80,000. Which was immediately spent on furniture and art. So now I spent the money, I hadn't started the book, but the idea was to create a book about trends. And so I didn't care when it came time to discussing what the title of the book would be, I didn't give a shit. I didn't care if it sold 2 copies. Big mistake. The most important thing a book is the title, especially if you want other people to read it. And so the shame about that book is it was a simple, interesting book with great ideas. It really discussed everything that I did. And we went with the Wall Strip Edge, which the show was up. And 2 chapters were about Twitter and about LifeLock and about Facebook and about LinkedIn and about these massive trends that were happening in 2008. And if we had just called the book The Twitter Trend, it would probably still be on the bestsellers list, because it was so dead on. So anyways, that's a good lesson. Zoe wants to know a little bit more about Stocktoberfest. I think Stocktoberfest is really kind of a celebration of idiots like us that love stocks. I guess it started in the 90s with the Motley Fool. I never really was into the Motley Fool. I just didn't like the stupid hats, and they're really geniuses, the gardeners, but the hats just threw me off. But they were genius marketers, the brothers, and they're making millions right now. What makes that community hard for me to understand is that it'd be like me wearing acid wash jeans and a really bad shirt and just really hard to look at. I just didn't buy into the whole idea, their whole branding effort. I believed in their strategy, no doubt. I think many times I've been a subscriber to the Rule Breaker portfolio, because the Rule Breakers just make sense. It was the packaging of the Motley Fool that I didn't like. Then Kramer comes along and really nails it. I mean, really, Street.com just nailed it. It was passionate, it was stock people, it was raw, it was mean, it was emotional, it was live, and they nailed it. And they just, I think the mistake there is Jim went for TV instead of community, and he went for a bigger audience instead of the community that they had, and it's just like a stock or the market. I don't think they treated the community with respect coming to 2001, all those hard years. Everybody went to TV and after their own thing, and the community died. We're trying to do that different. What is Stocktoberfest is an extension of that. It's a place where for a really low price you can come to a beautiful place, which is Coronado, and hang out with these celebs, the lunatics that love stocks and love talking about it all day long. And you're going to just learn a shit pile. And you're going to learn it in an environment, casual environment, and you're going to hear some of the greatest entrepreneurs who you wouldn't know if you walked up to them and bumped into them, talk to you about how they built $500 million company at rent.com, or Bank of the Internet. Greg Garabin came last year. It was a $16, $20 stock, up from $4, and now it's $60 stock. He's running one of the great internet banks of all, well, the great internet bank, Brandon Bank. Never took a dime of TARP money. So I think it's about the people you meet, and then at Stocktoberfest you're going to be able to walk up to everybody and say hello. That's Stocktoberfest. Let me see, Jason. What other questions? Did my wife go get the charger? Yes, always. The wife should always get the charger, Jason. Dan wants to know. Yes, Joey Coronado's great. Jan, I like investing in people, especially before they get to their earning years. Yes, when you're investing in startups, this is an important thing. You know, we saw it with JCPenney. Everybody was rushing into thanks for the tips, guys. Iron, thanks for the 100 credits. You guys are fantastic. Big Papa, 310. You are going to have a great time. You're right in behind with Lee Sam, who's at 300. So you guys are going to have a phenomenal, one of you is going to have a phenomenal time. Brian Lund's going to be there, and I appreciate Ned and you guys tipping. I do actually live on Coronado. That's Coronado behind me. The ocean's right there. This is my office upstairs. The Sharknado. Yeah, I am scared of the ocean. Slow down, guys. So I live on Coronado. Anthony A, thanks for the tips. We were talking about, no, it's not over, Jason. You can still buy credits. But Big Papa, very nicely done. No, so hang on, guys. We were talking about people. This is an incredible question by, let me just see, Jace, who asked this? Dan. Sorry, the chat. There's a little bit of bug, guys, or Laffster guys, there's a bug on the chat. If I'm trying to scroll back and see Dan's comment and someone else leaves a comment, it scrolls away from it. But trading the people who trade the market rather than the actual stock market. So Dan, you want to know that. I do think as we hit the social web, trading with the right people matters almost as much as trading the market. The price and volume still matter enough that you can't ignore the original tape, okay? That is still a skill that everybody should learn, price and volume. I think this third dimension that we talk about, or I talk about, called the social tape, this human ticker, is very important. You may not want to take the time to read the tape. You may trust me enough. I used to trust Kramer enough in 98, 99 that I could just read him. My problem with Jim was, he was an emotional guy, and that turned me in the fact that I liked him and traded with him made me an emotional trader. So it wasn't good for me. So if you're going to pick the person to follow, make sure it's a person that thinks like you'd be able to. Don't lie to yourself and take someone who has a completely different emotional makeup. You have to find someone who may be better and smarter at this stuff than you, but can think calmly and rationally like you would want to think. And so I had to spend a lot of years undoing what many people that I followed on the street were, because they just didn't fit my personality. But if I do it for you and you trust me, and you can trust the fact that I'm posting what I'm doing, then you may not need to read the tape. You may only want to follow me. I still think that's, in the day and age where you can learn how to do this yourself, you want to do both. I think you spend 20 minutes a day on StockTwits learning the language of the market, just like you would go to a language site, just like you would learn Spanish, or just like you have to learn math. It's a language. I think if you spend 6 months, 20 minutes a day on StockTwits, asking questions, listening, you will be fluent in the language of the markets. It took me 10 years. Like I said, it could take you 6 months. Find the right people, spend enough time, and then once you have the basic skills, it's not so much about learning how to technical and blah, blah, blah. It's about money management. Then it's about finding great companies and curation, getting the right names in your list. And so spend 6 months, use the StockTwits 50, find 5 or 6 mentors, be nice, ask questions, you will get there. Hey, Transfo, you are the man, love you. These are a lot of my clients and friends are on the stream. Big Papa's still in the lead. Lee Sam, if you want to be first, you're 10 credits behind. You can tip until 2018. Yeah, if you refresh your browser, the show is still on. Dr. Perlman is getting a pedicure, Jason. He can't be here. Okay, now there was other question. The ranking show up in the tipping window. Yeah, if you click tipping, you can see who's winning on the left side there. There's 100 of us online. There's been 3 tippers. Total tippers. Thanks, Tranfo. You are the man for tipping. Refresh, everybody. Refresh. Pork and stuff. Where's pork and stuff? Dude, that was rude. But we compared there with 20. Hang on one second. I'm just looking to see if I missed any questions, everybody. I really urge everybody to be at Stocktoberfest if you really want to learn. Let me drive a golf cart. We do have a golf cart. Next question. Jason, who's an investor himself on the stream at Benzinga, says, do you invest in people or, hang on, Jason, I want to go back to that question. Hang on, Jason, nobody type. Okay, do you invest in people or companies? The reason I love angel investing and the reason I love public companies is because they're completely different. At the angel level, I'm not investing in companies. I'm not even really investing in products most of the time because products have to change when revenue comes into the fold or when competition does something. But at the beginning, I'm investing in people. And it's a completely different skill than investing in public markets. You know, Icon and some of these guys are bragging. I talked to Tim Cook or people wanting to invest in JCPenney because the Apple guy came on. Nonsense. It's complete nonsense. Apple's got tens of thousands of employees, okay? Politics up the ass, okay? So much can go wrong, so many moving parts. No one person can move Apple's stock, especially over the long term. Steve Jobs is one of those rare people that did it, but let's face it, that just doesn't happen that much. That's a Wayne Gretzky moment in the public markets. So it's a very different skill set investing in early stage and late stage. At the late stage, I don't mind paying 1,000 times earnings. I don't care what the multiple is, as long as I understand the catalyst for growth and I understand them when I think in a different way than other people see it. I'm reading the tape differently. I'm investing in companies, not people. I'm investing in products, not people. I'm investing in trends that override one bad CEO or one bad executive because the products and the trends dominate. At the early stage of the market, it doesn't matter how good the trend is, if the person, the jockey isn't good, you are going to lose money or underachieve. So it's much more about the people, not the name of the company, not even so much the product or it's the guy or the woman and the team they put around them. That is what I look for first. The other thing that's different, thanks Ned for tipping 300. The other thing that's different at early stage, hit the refresh. I'm trying to talk slowly, but hit the refresh if you think it's gone because we're still going. The other thing that's different about early stage and late stage is price. I don't care about price when I'm trading Tesla or Apple or I'm long Nike and Under Armour. I know Nike and Under Armour are overvalued, but I also know that Nike and Under Armour are in the best position for this long-term trend that I believe in, which is data and biotech. Whereas Fitbit at the early end of the spectrum, or Jombra, price is much more important because they're liquid securities, okay? And for the average investor, price becomes very important because you can't sell it the next day. So you really have to understand what you own. So at the early stage, you really need to understand the people, the contracts, the documents, and what you own. And at the late stage, none of that stuff matters. You can't overthink it. There's thousands of shareholders, there's thousands of employees, there's lots of moving parts. It's really more about the product, the catalyst, the market itself. People drops way down on the list. So don't get sucked in when someone brings in a new CEO and things are going to change. In the end, Yahoo's going up because all tech stocks are going up. Is it doing better because of Marissa Mayer? No. Okay? She's done nothing to prove that she knows any more than the last 5 CEOs. Yahoo's no different than it was, no matter how many acquisitions she does, there's no difference in the products that there were 5 years ago. Now, she could be building up an arsenal of something, but search hasn't changed. I don't see a video plan. I don't see any of the big trends going on in the market. They didn't make a move at Box. They didn't make a move in the cloud at Dropbox. They could have bought Yelp. I think they made all the wrong moves, but we will see how that goes. So if you're betting just on Marissa Mayer, you should be investing in startups, okay? When you're investing in public markets, you're investing in huge trends, the best company, the best people. If you're buying Yahoo over Google and you're right, you're just lucky. You knew nothing more than the rest of us. So remember that. I'm gonna take a few more questions. We're almost done. Someone's asking about Market Smith. Same thing I felt about IBD. I think Market Smith's a phenomenal product, phenomenal. I think it's a little complicated for the average investor. I think the average investor could go on StockTwits 50 or spend time with a mentor like Joe Fahmy or Brian Lund and get one-on-one mentoring and tutoring and know everything that they need to know in Market Smith. If you really want to become a student of the market and you really live and die by this stuff, there's no better product than Market Smith on a day in, day out basis. The data's great, the charts are great, the information's great, it's clean, it's simple. Not simple on it if you don't want to spend a lot of time, but really is a beautiful product. And I haven't used their apps. I'm just talking about their old charting, the books and the actual printed stuff. Let me see. Did I miss any questions? Again, the money from this is going to a phenomenal, Ned, thank you for being the lead person here. I'm excited to have you come out for Stocktoberfest. Top tipper, Ned Graham. Big Papa's in second and Lisa in third. Iron A, you're fantastic. This is going to an incredible cause. Like I said, my best friend, I was best man at his wedding. Their first child has autism. It's crushing. First of all, he's an incredible kid, but it's crushing to just see how a life sentence this becomes for the family to deal with. And so the camp that this money goes to helps these kids in the summer, have as fun a summer with other kids in the same kind of situations as them. A summer out in the woods doing stuff. So I appreciate it, everybody. Have a great night. Thanks for the tips. Action for Autism is phenomenal. Liz, you wanted to know about Yelp. I'm long a little bit of it. I think it's hard for me to fathom a $4 billion company, but there's no reason if mobile is as big as we think it is, that this can be a $10 to $15 billion company. But man, the risk reward here is just, 19 to 20. I liked it at 30. I liked it at 50. It's just now, it's spirits. It's in the spirits and the God's hand. So I leave a little bit out there that I own. If I wouldn't be surprised to go to 100 or back to 20. And so that's how I play it. I'm going to refresh one more time. Yeah, Ned, you are in the lead. I don't know how long this goes, but we will see you at Stocktoberfest. Lisa, you're going to enjoy StockTwits 50. And you're going to get 3 months. Keep tipping away. I'm going to continue to do these. I think this is just as good as Momentum Monday for me. It's hard to talk one-on-one, but if you guys like this, I could probably spend an hour a week doing this for charity and getting to know a good group of people. So thanks, Laffster, great product. Hopefully everybody heard me. And thanks for my friends for showing up and asking good questions. We'll see you guys soon.